I'm focused on those who are ineligible for vaccination.
All students younger than 12 should wear masks to school. That's an order coming from the Salt Lake County Health Department.
Not definitive, but I am leaning towards overturning her order.
But the county council hasn't weighed in yet.
Mask never worked.
The good thing about science is that it's true whether you believe it or not.
That is not okay.
Plus, parents on both sides of the mask divide push their influence on the Salt Lake County Council today.
It's a secret in Morgan County that 3 firefighters say cost them their jobs.
I noticed the mood changed between the two of them whenever they were in the room together.
The late nights, the innuendo, and why they claim the county did not do enough to take their complaints seriously.
Harrowing and heroic stories coming to light tonight.
To me and my kids, he's always been our hero.
How minors were rescued by a co-worker after nearly being swept away by deadly flash flooding last week.
There's far less drama in a school where all kids are wearing masks than a spread of COVID within that school and kids being sent home to address illness or to be put into quarantine or isolation.
The Salt Lake County Health Department wants masks to be required for school children under the age of 12, and County Mayor Jenny Wilson is on board.
But does this mean students will be required to wear masks when school begins next week?
Fox 13's John Franke is live at the county complex tonight. John, what is the next step in this public health order?
Well, hey guys, the Utah legislature essentially gave local governments control of these school mask mandates. That means the fate of this health order now rests with the Salt Lake County Council. Angela Dunn, the county's health director, stated her case today. The council will have its say in 2 days.
The decision was made to focus on K through 6 because they are not able to be vaccinated. They have no ability to protect themselves from the COVID virus circulating.
Protecting those who cannot yet get the COVID-19 vaccine. That's one reason why Dr. Angela Dunn believes a mask requirement is essential for Salt Lake County children younger than 12.
And once they're going into the school setting where they're going to be in crowded indoor settings where we know COVID spreads, it's our duty to give them every opportunity to stay safe and stay in in-person learning.
Right now, the Pfizer vaccine is only available to people aged 12 and up. That's why this mandate won't impact high schools and most junior high students. But before it takes effect in elementary schools, it faces one more hurdle: the county council.
I have a really hard time having these kids have to be the ones to make the sacrifice again for the whole of the community.
Before Dr. Dunn announced the health order, she was peppered with questions at a work session of the council.
To me, it's a no-brainer. Masks work and they prevent the spread of COVID.
It's the same council that will meet Thursday to either reject or accept a school mask mandate.
And we all want to do what's best for our citizens, and especially for those most vulnerable.
Council Chair Steve DeBride joined me for a one-on-one interview shortly after Dr. Dunn's announcement. I asked where he stands on the issue.
Not definitive, but I am leaning towards overturning her order.
He cited a child's ability to properly wear a mask, the cleanliness of face coverings, and personal choice as the main reasons driving his decision.
It's a parental decision, I believe, to a point. If they want to mask their child to protect them, by all means, I think they should. But to have the government mandate that they should, when the chance of them getting it is very nil, I think that's an overreach of government.
In recent weeks, several other council members, including Dave Alvord and Dee Theodore, indicated they would not support a mandate.
So now it's time to return to liberty, so that's where I intend to follow.
That means the implementation of this order is anything but a certainty, but it's one Dr. Dunn believes is necessary for the county to protect thousands with no immunity to the virus.
We all are in this together, and we need to ensure that our kids have a fun and safe day one, week one of school starting. And that is on us as adults, us as parents, to make that happen.
And that special meeting is set for 2 p.m. on Thursday afternoon. There will not be any public comment, but the public is invited to attend here. Reporting live in Salt Lake County tonight, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
John, thank you. So what do you think of the mask order?
In an unscientific poll on Twitter, we asked, do you agree with the Salt Lake County Health Department's order that students under 12 wear masks in public schools?
Of the more than 1,000 responses, about a third of those who answered said no. Some comments said no kids aren't at risk from this. Adults who are at risk can get the vaccine, and absolutely not. It's all fear propaganda, and the mindless are abusing our children.
A little more than 60% do agree. Some of those people wrote, quote, "I know masks aren't perfect, but it does help, especially if all the kids are wearing them. And let's keep kids in school as much as possible. Mask up."
Before Dr. Dunn and County Mayor Wilson made their announcement this afternoon, parents spoke their minds about any potential mask requirements during the Salt Lake County Council meeting today. It was the second week in a row the council took public comment on a mask mandate in schools. There were strong opinions from parents on both sides of the debate.
But you who are sitting here without a mask on, if you vote for a mask mandate to muzzle my children and you can't even live up to what you're voting for, that is not okay.
The County Health Department reports the COVID rate in children is 300% higher now than it was at this time last year. Doctors predict that number will grow without preventative measures.
For frontline workers of education, today's Salt Lake County Health Department announcement was a welcome proposal. I talked with Heidi Matthews, president of the Utah Education Association, who says when health experts give advice, it should not be challenged.
From the get-go at the Utah Education Association, we have said that we need to follow science, not politics. We need to rely on the expertise of our medical, our physicians, our departments of health, and that when they make a recommendation, we need to do it, because that recommendation is in the best interest of our students, of our schools. Any recommendation coming from the Department of Health should just be treated as the medical recommendation, and one to be followed, and not one to have to weigh out whether we like it or not. It just is.
Heidi went on to tell me she fears the COVID Delta variant could spiral into something out of control, and the focus of the UEA is to keep students healthy and in school. Just how many children would be impacted by this order if it does go through? According to the Utah State Board of Education, this fall about 107,000 students are enrolled in kindergarten through 6th grade, which is the year most students turn 12 years old.
The University of Utah is getting ready for students to come back to campus for the new school year. With the Delta variant continuing to spread, administrators are pleading for students and staff to get vaccinated before coming back to campus. They also say weekly testing and wearing masks indoors will help keep the university community healthy.
I've been very pleased in the last 10 days as I walk around campus. I do see masks being worn indoors in buildings and activities where 3 and 4 weeks ago they were not.
Dr. Good says among students who attended summer session, more than 70% were vaccinated.
Since yesterday, there have been more than 5,800 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine administered in Utah. Just under 2,200 more Utahns are now considered fully vaccinated.
There were 634 new cases today. 8 more people have died from the virus, 7 men and 1 woman. The weekly 7-day positivity rate has decreased slightly to 14.06%.
New at 9, Moab now bringing back their mask mandate in all city facilities. City leaders say the mask order is to protect the health and safety of the community, as Grand County is now back in the high transmission category. Exceptions will apply for individuals with specific medical conditions and children younger than 3 years old. The mayor of Moab says she wants to protect unvaccinated Utahns, especially children under the age of 12.
This is primarily for those of us that have children. We want to make sure that we're not bringing the virus home to our kids. We're hearing that now vaccinated individuals can be carriers. We're hearing that this Delta variant is quite contagious. And we just really, really want our kids to be safe.
Moab doesn't have an ICU or ventilator, so anyone who needs treatment for severe COVID complications would need to be transported to another hospital.
Switching gears to weather now, and smoky skies continue to linger over much of Utah today. How much longer is this going to last, Kelly?
Meteorologist Allison Krogan knows the answer like better than I do. Allison, I'm hoping soon, however.
Yeah, Bob, I'll take that question from here. So our smoke analysis does show our thickest smoke from Evanston all the way down towards Richfield into central Utah. We head into tomorrow. You'll notice that's going to be lessening here across northern Utah. We had a few showers across the south today, more chances for a few isolated monsoonal storms tomorrow, but we'll keep the bulk of the highest rain totals in Arizona for the next few days. Wake up weather along the Wasatch Front, 7 a.m. 64 degrees, by 9 a.m. 73. Top weather headlines, we do have the smoky sky continuing in some capacity. We've got that chance for some isolated storms across the south, and then we're going to heat up this week ahead of a big cool down. Let's talk more about that cool down, some more chances for rain, and your air quality forecast coming up this hour.
Coming up on Fox 13 News at 9.
They tell him he's a hero. They message him with saying, "You're my hero, you saved me."
He saved several lives during a deadly flash flood last week in Emery County.
We talk with the local miner about the dramatic encounter in a Fox 13 News exclusive.
It was clear to me that this was a cover-up.
For months, it was an open secret at the Morgan County Fire Department.
They never get any information. See, everything's so hush-hush there.
Why 3 firefighters say they were let go for trying to expose their chief's behavior, and how the county kept it quiet until now.
Mike Conley was a wanted man this summer by the Jazz and players on other teams. He'll tell us about being recruited as an NBA free agent.
New at 9, Bountiful police have released this video hoping to find whoever shot a man early this morning. Police say the man came out of his house just after 4 to confront men whom he believed were breaking into his cars. That's when one of them shot him in the leg. The suspects are described as males in their early 20s. They left in a dark-colored sedan. If you have any information that can help investigators, call Bountiful Police.
They remember when the water hit us in front of the windshield?
For the first time, we are seeing startling images of miners trapped inside a car as floodwaters rushed through the Gentry Mountain mine in Emery County 9 days ago. You may remember the flood took the life of 48-year-old Gary Nelson, who worked at the mine. You're about to hear from people who were able to survive and help others along the way.
Fox 13's Brian Schnee has been covering this story for us since the incident first happened. Tonight, he has the story you'll only see here.
To me and my kids, he's always been our hero.
It's true what they say. Not all heroes wear capes.
They tell him he's a hero. They message him with saying, "You're my hero, you saved me." And he's like, "I don't feel like I saved you."
Those are co-workers of Hernan Nunez who are calling him a hero. Hernan works at Gentry Mountain Mine, which was devastated by flash flooding earlier this month. It's the same flood that took the life of Nunez's co-worker, Gary Nelson.
When he started, Gary threatened him, and they always used to talk. My husband would tell me, they would sit there and just talk and talk about the weekend, how the weekend was, or whatever.
Many who were at the mine that night say there might have been more victims to the raging floodwaters, but Hernan wasn't about to let that happen.
I turned around because I hear somebody complain about his head, and I went back to help that guy because there was another guy on top of him.
After it rolled a few times, Hernan broke open the door of the vehicle, which was surrounded by debris and water. From there, he pulled out fellow miners who were stuck inside.
I'm proud of him. I am so proud of him that he was able to save 5 people, because it could have been worse. If he wasn't able to save his other co-workers to get them out, they probably would have been dead.
Still in pain after the flooding accident, Hernan doesn't remember how many times his vehicle rolled or how long it took to help save his co-workers. But he is thankful.
I feel that I have another chance to live, like a new life.
I'm just thankful. I'm so thankful that I got my husband to come back, but I am very heartbroken because Gary's family will never see Gary again.
Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Wow. what an incredible story. Well, many people are feeling the impacts of several days with poor air quality.
And some people we spoke with complained of a sore throat, watery eyes, and coughing. Fox 13 spoke with a pulmonologist at Intermountain Healthcare about how smoky air could be making people more susceptible to viral illnesses.
The same way that your skin protects you, and if you get a cut in your skin, then you're more likely to get infected with something if you come in contact with it. The normal lungs that are not inflamed really have a number of mechanisms to clear out viruses and bacteria that we're constantly breathing in. And if you have air pollution, that really inflames and injures that airway.
If you have been experiencing a cough or shortness of breath for several days, doctors do recommend getting tested for COVID-19 just to be safe. They also say watery eyes or a headache are less likely symptoms of something like COVID.
Of course, we're all paying attention to what's happening with the Dixie Fire over in California because that's where all this smoke is coming from. When is this going to end? Are we going to get a different pattern at some point?
So we've had a little bit of an improvement with our surface smoke this afternoon. Aloft, we still have a lot of smoke in the upper level winds. But we will end up seeing somewhat of an improvement. But no, Bob, I don't see this going away completely anytime soon. Logan still has decent air quality. Once you get into Ogden, down towards Layton, that's where it's trending towards orange. So it's a little bit worse right now than it was around 5 hours ago. For much of the Salt Lake Valley, we have a lot of unhealthy for sensitive groups all the way down into Utah County. Same thing, lots of orange dots down through Payson. Into southwestern Utah, better air quality for St. George, Cedar City over towards Zion National Park. And then eastern Utah. For Moab, a little bit better than it was this afternoon. And then for Vernal, you are still at that orange level, unhealthy for sensitive groups. That's the air quality forecast here for Salt Lake County for Wednesday and Thursday. Mandatory action for Salt Lake County, so something to keep in mind. You'll want to plan your days. A, around the smoke. We'll continue with some patchy smoke tomorrow, and then B, around the heat as we end the week. But tomorrow won't be too terribly hot. It'll be warm, but it'll be much hotter for Thursday and Friday. Satellite and radar here across the state. We did have a few isolated showers that popped up this afternoon in southern Utah. None of those caused any problems, though. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, here's what I want you to know. It's going to be another smoky day tomorrow. Mid-60s first thing when you rise, and then into the upper 70s by 10 o'clock in the morning. Highs tomorrow will be 92 here in Salt Lake City. We'll be close to 90 for the Wasatch Front with patchy smoke. And the storm threat for tomorrow, still southern Utah, the chance for some isolated thunderstorms. And then Chicago area has been seeing several days with some tornadoes that have touched down yesterday and today. They'll have the same storm threat tomorrow, a level 2, a slight risk for severe weather to develop in that portion of the country. So the rest of tonight, we'll see some clouds thinning at times for southern Utah. By tomorrow afternoon, down in southern Utah near the Arizona border in Washington County mostly, we will end up with some isolated thunderstorms 4 p.m. tomorrow through dinner time. So by 6 o'clock, we still see a few of those scattered showers, and then those should be dying down into Thursday morning. Overnight temperatures about 60 to 65 here along the Wasatch Front. St. George around 75 to 80 tomorrow morning. And by tomorrow afternoon, Wasatch Front around 90 for Ogden, Salt Lake, Provo, 89 for Logan, 80 for Park City. Down in Price, 91, 96 for Moab, and St. George, low 100s. St. George, you're close to 100 to 105 for the next several days, and then you're cooling down majorly into next week. Look at that by next Tuesday, high of 92 degrees with a better chance for some rain showers. For the Wasatch Front, we have low 90s tomorrow, mid to upper 90s for Thursday. Friday, Saturday, we're close to 100 degrees here in Salt Lake City. And then by next Tuesday, we're cooling down into the mid-80s with a better chance for some showers and thunderstorms. So coming up later in the hour, let's look at your rain projection over the next 7 days. And I'll also show you the air quality forecast for our smoke, the surface smoke forecast for the next couple of days.
Thanks, Allison. Still to come, the federal fraud trial for one of the stars of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is now being postponed. We'll explain what led up to it being pushed back for months.
And when you can't watch Fox 13 News live, watch us streaming online for free on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Just search Fox 13 on your device.
Well, a judge has postponed the trial of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star Jen Shah. She's facing fraud charges in what federal prosecutors allege was a multi-million-dollar telemarketing scheme. According to court records, a federal judge delayed the trial until March of next year at the government's request. Now, it was supposed to start in October of this year.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is asking a federal judge to throw out a lawsuit by James Huntsman. The brother of former Governor John Huntsman Jr. is suing the church for fraud and demanding a refund of tithing he paid to the church over the years. Specifically, Huntsman accuses the church of using tithing funds to build the City Creek Mall project. The church denies that claim. Church lawyers say Huntsman is seeking a refund because he's having a crisis of faith. A judge has scheduled a hearing at the end of the month to decide whether to dismiss the lawsuit.
Coming up after the break.
I think the fact that he did that with a subordinate is completely wrong.
3 firefighters say they were the ones let go for the chief's behavior.
Why is Boyd Kerrigan still the chief of the Morgan County Fire Department?
Coming up, why they accuse the county of trying to cover up the chief's secret.
All of this behind me is about to undergo a massive development. I'm going to show you what it'll look like.
On the Jazz, NBA contenders with Mike Conley back. We'll hear from the Jazz returning point guard.
Tonight, in a Fox 13 News investigation, 3 members of the Morgan County Fire Department say they were let go because they voiced concerns about the chief having an affair with a subordinate.
Now they accuse Morgan County of trying to cover up what the chief did. Fox 13's Adam Herbets joins us live in studio tonight with a look at the case. Adam.
Yeah, Bob Kelly, these 3 volunteer firefighters and EMTs were let go without an investigation, simply told their services were no longer needed. Meanwhile, the chief confessed to breaking Morgan County policy and was given a written warning that has never been made public until now. Members of the Morgan County Fire Department say for months it was an open secret, the affair between the married chief and a female firefighter.
Just wanted to see if you would be interested in talking to us about it at all.
You'd see them both at the fire station late at night. Subtle jokes here and there that were flirtatious in nature, sexual innuendo, the way she would bat her eyes at him. They would kind of light up when they'd see each other. I noticed the mood changed between the 2 of them whenever they were in the room together. It was, now looking back on it, very obvious.
Jaden Engel used to be deputy chief. Patrick Murphy was a captain. Last November, both of them say they went to Chief Boyd Kerrigan with concerns about the inappropriate relationship, and by January, both were released from their jobs without any complaints filed against them.
And it's because I had suspicions of their affair, and I'm not okay with it. I think the fact that he did that with a subordinate is completely wrong, and I think the only fair thing in my mind is he needs to lose that position.
Jaden's fiance, another firefighter, was also let go that same day, January 20th, 2021.
Do you feel like she just kind of got wrapped up in this because of her relationship with you?
Absolutely, yes.
A few days before their termination, Patrick Murphy was disciplined. He says he was targeted for taking part in a lighthearted prank.
We found some Star Wars wall decals, and we thought it'd be funny to put them on stuff at the station. Like the bathroom doors had blasters on the little mannequins. It was a Star Wars sticker. It wasn't anything profane. It was just a stormtrooper's head. We did it as a little joke.
But according to their termination paperwork, no mention of the affair and no mention of Star Wars stickers. The only reason stated was no longer needed.
They were desperately looking for people as soon as we were let go. It was clear to me that this was a cover-up. As a government employee, we are entitled to due process.
I agree that Americans are generally entitled to due process under given circumstances.
Robert McConnell is the chair of the Morgan County Commission. He says the fire department is comprised mostly of paid volunteers, and they do not have the same rights as employees.
The whole volunteer thing is really a loose term. We were getting paid.
We didn't get benefits. I mean, I didn't get health insurance from them, so if anything happened to me, it's on me. But it's my community. It was my home. It's the people that I grew up with. It's those people that are my home that I've lost the ability to serve.
Both of them say they are in the process of filing wrongful termination complaints. The Utah Labor Commission doesn't comment on specific cases, but said in general, sometimes volunteers can be reclassified as employees on a case-by-case basis.
What is this volunteer getting for what they're doing? And it has to be substantial and it has to be significant. It can't just be, well, they get a t-shirt. Employees have certain rights by law, and volunteers is a little bit different by definition.
As deputy chief, Engel made more than $20,000 in 2020. Murphy made $6,382. The day after their termination on January 21st, documents show Chief Kerrigan admitted to being involved in an intimate relationship with a volunteer. That is a direct violation of Morgan County policy, so he was issued a written warning.
Are you Chief Kerrigan? Yes.
When we tried to get his side of the story, at first the chief said he would speak with us. He asked us to wait outside.
Can we wait in here?
Give us 1 second.
Okay. It says visitor entrance.
The chief never came back out.
I had a phone conversation with the county attorney. He advised them to fire him and fire him immediately.
County Attorney Jan Ferris decided to leave Morgan County after the conclusion of this case. He declined to comment on his recommendations to the county commission.
Why is Boyd Kerrigan still the chief?
Letting the volunteers go would have been far more less significant than terminating a fire chief.
Sources tell Fox 13 behind closed doors, 2 of the 5 commissioners voted for the chief to be fired. The remaining 3 thought a warning would be more appropriate.
What was your personal vote on that matter?
I'm not going to discuss that.
Did you follow the recommendation of the county attorney?
I'm trying to think of exactly what was said in that context, and I don't have a specific recollection.
Do you think this was an appropriate punishment?
I'll stand by the decision of the commission.
There have not been any public meetings discussing the decision. Some people in Morgan County say the only reason they found out about the affair was because of Jaden's grandfather.
Most of the people in the county didn't know, so I put a sign together and I put it on my truck. They never get any information. See, everything's so hush-hush there.
As far as I was concerned, until you called, this had been addressed and handled, and we were moving forward.
But this was never handled publicly. This was handled in a closed session.
And I think that's appropriate.
Do you think most people in Morgan County know about this case?
Probably not.
Because of the affair, the female firefighter was moved out of the department and received a full-time job at the Morgan County Recorder's Office 2 weeks later. Commissioner McConnell says she got the job on her own merits and that the reason the county forced her to leave instead of the chief is because she was easier to replace. Reporting in studio, Adam Herbets, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Adam, thank you. If you have a story you'd like the Fox 13 News investigative team to look into, email iteam@fox13now.com or call the tip line at 801-536-1314.
And if you have questions about tonight's investigation, Adam will be live on Facebook in just a few minutes. He will try to answer as many of your questions as possible.
There are new plans for the development at Point of the Mountain. We'll show you what it looks like coming up.
Plus, what Speed Week organizers at the Bonneville Salt Flats are doing to keep drivers safe.
And coming up, I'm tracking our surface smoke forecast for tomorrow. I'll let you know if it will get better coming up.
We hope this is a new paradigm certainly for the Wasatch Front, maybe the whole state.
It has been in the works for years, and we've now have your first look at a massive new development at the Point of the Mountain.
The project will go where the current Utah State Prison is now. Fox 13's Ben Winslow reports from Draper.
When the Utah State Prison moves next year, construction will start to create The Point. The 608 acres owned by the state will be transformed into a mix of housing, retail, business, and a lot more.
Geographically, it's large. It is large in terms of its impact on the state. All in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye. Aye. On Tuesday, the Point of the Mountain State Land Authority voted to move forward with their plans to start building this new community in Draper.
We want it to be relevant and cutting edge for generations.
Originally envisioned as an extension of the tech corridor known as Silicon Slopes, public comment over dozens of meetings led to some big changes.
We have broader latitude to meet those objectives that were given to us by the public. For example, open space.
The plans now call for cars to be in the minority, pushing transit with buses and trains.
We can't have everyone that lives in this area and works in this area drive to this area. That won't work. And so we've designed it sort of transit centered, and then inside of it, circulators, either pedestrian, active transportation, perhaps, autonomous vehicles.
And trails and open space with more parks, even a giant central park right in the middle.
So we're advancing xeriscape landscaping.
Draper's mayor says the Point could also be the home of a future sports stadium.
We have a spot we could go to, Major League Baseball or the NFL and say, hey, look where you can go here. Look at everything you're connected to.
The project could cost billions and take decades to complete.
We've set space aside for a high school. There will be this innovation center that we're collaborating right now with higher ed.
The Point of the Mountain State Land Authority is also addressing environmental concerns that have been raised about the massive project.
We expect that this development can be a model of sustainability for other developers. We want to show how we can develop in ways that respect the natural environment that we have, that use our limited water resources better, that protect our air quality better.
A public open house to show off the latest plans for the Point development will take place on Thursday. We've got more information on that at fox13now.com. In Draper, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Still ahead, he is driving across the state in his lawnmower, and it's all for a good cause. We'll introduce you to him as he embarks on a positively Utah adventure.
Coming up in sports, it's all about Mike Conley. Tell us about that video that announced he was returning to the Jazz, and about being recruited by other players around the NBA and his teammates during free agency.
So glad you could join us for Fox 13 News at 9. I just asked Allison when the smoke is going to go away. She says it's going to be a little bit less tomorrow, but the real answer, you're going to have to tune in just a few minutes because she's got the whole thing for you.
Day by day.
Yep.
In national news, after months of negotiations, the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure package has passed the Senate. Now, the package includes $550 billion in new federal investments in America's infrastructure over 5 years, including funding for broadband internet, bridges and roads, also airports and drinking water. The bill now heads to the House.
Embattled New York Governor Andrew Cuomo resigned today in the wake of an investigation that found he sexually harassed 11 women. In 2 weeks, Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul will take his place, becoming New York's first female governor. Cuomo has denied any wrongdoing, saying some of his actions were taken out of context. However, he does say he takes full responsibility for his actions. Speed Week organizers say the surface of the Bonneville Salt Flats is in the best shape it's been in for years. And that, my friends, is great news for the racers. They're outbreaking land speed records. COVID-19 kept most international racers and fans home this year, but American crowds are there taking in the sun and the races. There have been 6 crashes so far since Sunday. Organizers say they have great emergency response teams, but they don't release details of a crash right away.
We have an investigative team that goes over the cars or bikes, and we try to learn from everything. So we don't mention that until we have some sort of, solid evidence, and sometimes we never do. It's just a happenstance.
Speed Week continues through Friday on the Bonneville Salt Flats near Wendover.
A tree was planted in Salt Lake City today to represent the many ties between Mexico and the state of Utah. The young tree now stands right outside the Consulate of Mexico at 660 South and 200 East. It's part of Salt Lake Mayor Aaron Mendenhall's 1,000 Trees initiative. Both the Consul of Mexico and the mayor say the tree symbolizes the deep Mexican roots that exist in our community.
We're part of the community. The Mexicans have a large imprint in this state historically, and we're here committed to make everyone thrive, and that's what we want them to be aware, that we're all in this together.
On my way to work at Salt Lake City Hall, I'll see this tree and be reminded of these ties that bind Mexico at Salt Lake City and the tens of thousands of residents in our city who have Mexican roots.
The Consul of Mexico says the relatively large number of immigrants in Utah and the frequent requests for LDS missionary visas make for a special connection with the state. Now to an exciting announcement that took place just today. Are you ready for it? Oktoberfest. It is returning to Snowbird after a year-long hiatus.
Last year, Oktoberfest was put on hold because of the pandemic. Admission is free for everyone, and visitors can participate in the fun every Saturday and Sunday from noon to 6 p.m. Visitors can look forward to music, food, dance, drinks, face painting, street performances, and other activities. Oktoberfest runs from August 14th to October 17th.
Always a popular event.
It is. It's a trip that is positively Utah. A Santaquin man is taking a super slow trip the entire length of the state for a very good reason.
Here he comes. That's Scott Morgan. He's driving his lawnmower from the Idaho border to St. George, all to raise money for Shriners Hospital. His trip started up north yesterday. He plans to ride about 430 miles all the way south. He hopes his Mowing for Miracles fundraiser gathers $25,000 for Shriners.
We found great families all along the route to help us with lodging, meals, etc. Everything you see here, the mower, the support vehicle, everything's been donated for this good cause.
Just one day into his trip, and Scott has already raised $3,500. If you'd like to donate, go to fox13now.com. Best of luck to him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, he's going to have some hot temperatures over the next couple of days, and also lots of smoky sky here across the state. So here's the bread and butter of the forecast. I can't even walk into a store. People are coming up to me and being like, when is the smoke going to go away? It's what everybody's talking about these days, and we will see an improvement for tomorrow for northern Utah. But then look at this. Our more moderate smoke starts to move just south of I-70 and near I-70 and I-15. So central Utah come tomorrow afternoon, we'll start to have some thicker smoke, and we'll see quite the improvement here across northern Utah. But notice we'll still have somewhat hazy sky, but by Thursday morning at 9:30, thickest smoke is still off to our west, and we're just dealing with some haze here across the state. So improvements, but it's not going to go away completely. Now, satellite and radar will also be somewhat active near the Arizona border over the next couple of days. Had a few isolated cells that brought some brief heavy rainfall into southwestern Utah today, but we saw no flash flooding problems, which was great news. Temperatures as we're getting ready for bed right now, 81 in Salt Lake, 76 for Provo, 94 in St. George, 78 in Cedar City. Now, when you wake up tomorrow morning, it'll be quite cool in Park City, about 45 to 50 degrees at 7 a.m. Evanston around 50, Wasatch Front 55 to 65. And then our temperatures tomorrow afternoon will be pretty similar to today. It'll be about 90 for the Wasatch Front. St. George, you're close to 100 to 105 for the next week. And then let's talk about this future cast, because over the next couple of days, we will continue to see a few chances for showers and thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. But then I want to show you what you can expect with early next week, because our 6 to 10 day outlook looks more promising for more widespread storms to develop across the Intermountain West. So this will be Monday afternoon into Monday evening. So rain projection over the next 7 days across the country. Southeast part of the country will be getting a lot of rain, and then the west, desert southwest into Arizona, New Mexico will be seeing our heaviest rainfall, and then along the Utah border we'll have the chance for a few storms to put down some impressive rain totals. So we'll want to keep our eye on that. Obviously, this is for the next 7 days in totality, and then we look at our temperature outlook for 6 to 10 days, and we're going to trend cooler than average here in Salt Lake City for days 6 to 10. So at the end of our 7-day forecast, we're trending cooler, and then in our precipitation outlook, we're also going to trend a little wetter. So we're going to have cool, wet conditions days 6 to 10 more likely. For St. George, you're close to 100 to 105 for the next few days, and then you're going to cool down next week. So by next Tuesday, a high of 92 in St. George. And for the Wasatch Front, we're close to 100 degrees to end the week. So we heat up, then we cool down, mid-80s by next Tuesday.
Well, the Jazz may have been a Mike Conley hamstring injury away from reaching the Western Conference Finals last season, which is why bringing him back was the #1 priority for the Jazz this offseason, and a big reason why Conley returned to Utah.
Terrence Mann for three. Last year was disappointing into it, but all the strides we've made along the way allow us to come into this season still chasing that championship, that ultimate goal, and something that is truly attainable.
Conley's coming off a great season. He was an NBA All-Star for the first time in his 14 years in the NBA, which is why he was heavily recruited by Jazz players to return and other players around the NBA.
Got a handful of calls from different players, and obviously I told them I didn't know what I was doing. I was already kind of leaning towards Utah, and Joe Ingles was hitting me up from Tokyo, and he was almost threatening me. I was a little worried for my life there, but obviously Royce and Don and JC, everybody, they let me kind of go through the process, but at the same time, when push came to shove, they were sitting there like, all right, you coming back or what? Like, we need to get this thing going. So they definitely were in my corner and pulling me back to Utah.
His backcourt running mate took it to the next level, giving Conley the idea on how he would announce he's returning to the Jazz.
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving Utah.
I'm not leaving.
Donovan Mitchell actually sent me a small clip of Wolf of Wall Street like 3 or 4 days prior to that. And I saw it and I said, you know what? I'm gonna flip this, I'm gonna figure out how to use this, and I'm gonna use it when I announce I'm coming back to the Utah Jazz.
Bringing Conley back will be costly. His 3-year, $68 million contract puts the Jazz over the luxury tax, but they feel it's worth it.
The mindset is to chase this championship now. Our team has been up on the cap and stuff like that and over the cap, and for us to still be making moves and still trying to make improvements in every area and facet, whether that's on or off the court, it's important that that they're showing that their willingness to win.
And how about that hamstring? Conley says he's been working hard to stay healthy and strong this season.
I'm excited about the year, I really am. I think it's going to be a good, healthy one, and it's going to continue to do my part and make sure I do everything under the sun to have my body in position to be at its peak.
So that video, Conley said he got the help from his social media team,
Yeah.
Ryan Smith's social media team.
Oh, nice.
Beats by Dre. So he got quite a collective group to make that awesome video.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. I want to hear the outtakes though of those voiceovers.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I'm not leaving Utah.
Yeah, they didn't have to bleep this one like they would have.
Yes, the original one.
Thanks, Jeff. Good interview.
We'll be right back. Did you know that it is National S'mores Day today?
Really?
NationalDayCalendar.com says the first s'mores recipe appeared in the 1927 publication of Tramping and Trailing with the Girl Scouts.
Oh, there you go.
S'mores. Nothing like it on a summer night. Quick Cast is next.